We're just short of the freight terminal here. It's basically over in this direction. And it's one of the spots that's obviously been identified as a weak spot. You can pull the fence up here, creep in underneath, and then you're inside the first perimeter fence. And behind us in the fields there are groups of migrants approaching. I can see them coming out from the cornfields here. They're also up on this bridge above us. We've seen quite a few up there. I would say that in the last 5 minutes or so we've seen a couple of hundred people. One or two of those girls look quite young. Where are you from? You're from Eritrea? So there's, what, half a dozen police officers walking down the tracks inside. They're obviously looking for the migrants, because once the migrants get inside this very large complex, they scatter and they hide and they wait for an opportunity just as a train gets ready to go to jump on board. So there could right now be dozens, perhaps even a few hundred people hiding inside the terminal complex. It's really interesting watching how the police do this. They're not racing after everybody. They know there are simply too many people in there. They're just grabbing handfuls where they can, but they also know, and they've said to us, that at the end of the night, some people, a few dozen perhaps, will have made it through. And they don't seem to mind. Hello? Are you going to go back to the jungle now, or are you going to try again? Huh? You speak English? Oh, you speak a little English. You go back to the camp? Well, they're pretty disappointed, as you can imagine. They've had a go. It hasn't worked. But as far as I could make out, their English wasn't great. My Arabic was even worse. That's not it for the evening. They're probably going to go back up there and try again. But there are obviously plenty of police inside, enough, it seems, to make it difficult for large numbers to get to the trains.
Well, those attempts on the other side of the channel are having a big impact here in the UK. So how much is this costing us? Well, millions is the short answer. Migrants attempting to board lorries and strikes by French ferry workers are all having an impact. The Road Haulage Association says every day that trucks are standing still, it sets the UK industry back by £5 million. So why does it cost so much? Well, the Freight Transport Association says a delay of 10 hours adds £600 to each truck. That includes the cost of a driver's time and their loads being spoiled. It costs £1 a minute on average to run a truck, so when the truck is idling on a motorway jam, the company is still paying. Some truckers have told this programme that they have been delayed by more than 30 hours. But it's not just drivers and companies feeling the pinch. Kent County Council reckons road closures in the region are costing the local economy £1.5 million a day. And some people are starting to struggle. Well, that figure includes things like businesses losing trade and people not visiting tourist attractions. Joining us to talk about all of this, Councillor Matthew Balfour, a Conservative member of Kent County Council, responsible for highways and the environment. Also Tony O'Donnell, who runs Catchpole and Rye, a luxury bathroom manufacturing company in Ashford. He lives just a mile away from the mouth of the tunnel. And Sarah Poole runs Westonhanger Castle, that hosts weddings and corporate events, and it is just a few minutes from the M20. She's actually calculated that the business has lost £30,000 in income in the last 4 weeks. Thank you all very much for joining us. Well, meetings today to try to fix things. Matthew Balfour, I know that you're going to be involved in one meeting at 11 with local MPs and local councillors. What will you be saying needs to be done?
Well, what we will be doing is giving the Minister, Andrew Jones, our report. And the report comes from the Gateway Group, which includes the police, Highways England, the ferry companies, the port, the tunnel, and a number of others. And in that report, there are suggestions being made as to what could be done in the long term. My particular concern, though, is what is done in the short term, keeping the M20 running so that people like Tony and Sarah can go about their business.
You talk about the long term and say that that's what's going to be in the report, but you're concerned about the short term. People who are really feeling the impact of this say something needs to be done now. Why is it taking so long?
That's an extremely good question. I hate to say it, but I think that it has been considered by the government in the past that this only happens on rare occasions and it's only down in Kent and it's a few days and it's not a big problem. But this has become a major national problem because the motorway is blocked for so many days. How
much responsibility should you take, though? I mean, you're making it sound like you've got absolutely no power, but you are in charge of transport for Kent County Council.
Oh, I wish that I was allowed to deal with the motorways, but I'm afraid I'm not. Highways England, which is the agency for the government, deals with the motorways. If they want to give up their motorways and let Kent County Council run them in Kent, I would be delighted.
OK, well, let's get some views on the impact of all of this. Sarah Poole, you run Weston Hanger Castle. What would you say the impact has been on the business?
It's been a dramatic effect on the business due to loss of conferences, meetings, brides in tears because they're not sure if their clients are going to get to the wedding. And they've spent thousands of pounds on their special day. We at the castle treat everybody like a king and queen for the day to go in with the heritage that we've got here. And it's just dreadful to see them in tears on their special day.
And do you put it down to Operation Stack?
It's definitely down to Operation Stack. We're less than 5 minutes from the M20. Lucky enough, we have got Weston Hanger train station on our driveway, and we do try to encourage corporate events to come via train at the moment, but so many businesses are coming throughout Kent that they can't always get here by train.
Tony O'Donnell, you're a bathroom manufacturer near Ashford. What's the impact on your business?
Well, we can't get customers down here at the moment, and customers are basically the lifeblood of businesses. We're fortunate in that we've got showrooms in London and we can redirect people there. But we get people from all over the world coming to get bespoke manufactured baths with their family coat of arms on them, and they want to see them being made. And we can't give them that experience now. So our turnover is down, simple as that. And, you know, if we keep losing money, we're not going to stay in business in Kent. We're going to have to relocate. And, you know, if you relocate, you lose jobs.
You know, are you seriously saying you may have to relocate because of this?
We have effectively moved our retail enterprise to London now, even though we've got huge showrooms here. We've moved our retail to London completely. Every lead we get, we tell people to go to London. We had people coming from Brighton the other day, stuck on the motorway. We told them, turn around, go to London. So nobody's spending money in Kent. Is Kent County Council happy with that? I'm sure they're not.
Well, let's put that right back to Matthew Balfour. What do you say to that?
No, this is the experience that we are being told about, and we need the government to help us to deal with it. And I would add, it's not just in Kent. I heard yesterday that Rolls-Royce Motors, who are down in Sussex, they've stopped work because they can't get the parts for the cars.
There is a suggestion that MOD land could be used as a temporary lorry park. Would that be an instant solution?
I think it would, of course, it would help. The difficulty is that the stack is, in fact, a slowly moving queue. And you can't just store the lorries in one place because they need to be called down in an orderly queue for the ferries in the tunnel as and when there's capacity.
Sarah, you put clear figures on the cost to your business. What would you say to Matthew Balfour? What areas do you think he should be looking at? What pressure can he put?
There's got to be pressure throughout government. The Highways England have said that they won't do the contraflow. Well, they should have done the contraflow, especially down here. I drive up from Junction 11, where we are, to Junction 9, and many times I see no lorries on the motorway, but they've shut them off because they don't want the lorries connecting on Junction 9, 10 and 11, which is understandable, but let the cars on, let the community keep moving.
You're nodding, Matthew Balfour. Why isn't a contraflow being put in place? I mean, everybody's saying that's what's required.
Well, I've asked for a contraflow to be put in place, And over the last weekend, we thought that Highways England were going to come up with a way of doing it. Then on Monday morning, we were told, and it came as a shock, that they had decided they could not do it.
And why couldn't they do it?
They say for safety reasons. Now, I'm sure there are very good safety reasons, and I do know that the motorways operate under different rules from the normal roads. But extraordinarily, we have 6,000 odd miles in Kent of normal roads where people pass each other going in opposite directions all day long, and they manage it without that many people being hurt.
Do you think a contraflow would unlock this situation and make life immediately better for everyone?
It would not solve the problem. There would still be jams, there would still be roads blocked, but it would, I'm sure, ease the problem for people like Tony and Sarah.
What about what is being done from central government? This must be costing Kent a huge amount of money. I mean, aside from the cost to business, the cost for the involved across the county as a result of all of these extra pressures.
It's costing the economy millions. People can't get to their appointments, they can't get to their hospitals, they can't. And there's a lady who's been on Radio Kent who is terrified because she's about to have a baby. She needs to get to the hospital to have the baby, and she doesn't think that the ambulances will be able to come and pick her up.
Tony, do you think businesses should be compensated for what's going on?
I think it's very difficult to quantify it. I think we would find that difficult to do. But I think there's a couple of other issues. They need to look at a very long-term solution to it. I don't think that's been put into place at all. I mean, if they've got to put in a lorry park somewhere, planning, everything else, it's going to take years to do that. So what's going to happen in the interim? I think this contraflow should surely be investigated for some period of time. Try it out. Try it out for 2 weeks. If it works for 2 weeks, then we've got an interim solution. There is no interim solution. The biggest issue for us is the volatility. We don't know. We get up in the morning, the motorway is chocker. We can't get customers because the motorway is blocked. We don't know that. It's different day to day.
Quick final thought, Matthew Balfour. There is a Cobra Committee meeting being chaired by the Prime Minister today. You've got your meeting at 11. Can you promise Tony and Sarah and the thousands of others out there who are being affected by this in Kent that anything is going to change quickly as a result of what's being done today?
I assure you that I am doing everything I possibly can, but I'm looking to government to come up with solutions.
Matthew Balfour, Sarah Poole and Tony O'Donnell, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We're just short of the freight terminal here. It's basically over in this direction. And it's one of the spots that's obviously been identified as a weak spot